see some familiar names.
All right, well, hello everybody. Welcome to Cooking with the Professors. We have Professor Pham here, and she normally teaches crim law, admin law, and immigration law, but today she's teaching us how to cook a dish I don't know how to pronounce. Can you tell us what we're making, Professor?
Oh, yeah. So the essence of this dish, I don't know if y'all can see me, we're working on camera angles today. It's basically deep fried tofu with sauteed tomatoes. It's a pretty basic Vietnamese dish, but it's tasty and it's quick if you ever need something quick for dinner. So yeah, that's basically it. So I've got different cameras going on here.
And to everyone at home, if you go to speaker mode, you can see the two main cameras, or of course you can look in gallery or however, but speaker mode will put you into the two cameras that matter today.
Okay, so my main computer is over here, but I think y'all can see me better, probably over here. I think it would be helpful if you think about what this dish is, sort of how to prepare for it. I've got cooking oil. You should probably get a plate and just put some paper towels so that when the tofu is fried, you have a place to put it that will soak up the grease, and then we can do the tomatoes, right? Neat. Any questions or concerns before we get started? Okay. I think then I'm going to move over here. And I was sharing with Allison and Harrison how much I appreciate cooking shows now, because I know it's not easy to work with different camera angles. So tofu, right? Hopefully you got some, and hopefully you drained it, because it's just basically soaked in water. Let me get some paper towels. Okay, so I think y'all can see, right? If you haven't drained it, just take a paper towel and kind of swish it. You want to get rid of the water, or else when you fry it, you're going to have a serious explosion of water and tofu. So, everybody good? Okay. And now we're just going to cut it. So I cut it in half. Your tofu may be shaped a little bit differently, but the idea, right, is we're just going to make little rectangles. And if you're in a hurry, you could just, cut this in big pieces so that you don't have to fry as much. But I kind of like the fried texture, so I'll cut them in slightly smaller sections. Can y'all see that?
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay. I love tofu. It's like one of my favorite things to eat. Okay.
How's everyone doing? It looks like some people are still trying to drain or press out some of the moisture.
Yeah.
Are we all cutting? Or you can give a thumbs up if you're cutting. Okay. Good.
Okay. So now what I did is I put oil in a frying pan. I'm going to move it a little bit closer. We're going to fry the tofu first, and we will figure out I'm not going to do all my tofu just for the interest of time, but y'all should certainly fry all your tofu. But I think I'm going to try to move my camera over.
How much oil do we add, and should we use a bigger frying pan or a smaller one?
I think you want something that can maybe fit all the tofu at once. So I used a bigger frying pan. but you could probably use something like, I feel like this is a good size. Can y'all see that?
Yeah.
It's maybe like 9 inches. And you don't actually have to deep fry it. I only put in about, I don't know if y'all can see. So maybe it's about 1/2 inch of oil. Deep frying is, as I understand it, you put the whole thing in oil and it's completely covered, but we're gonna turn it. So you don't have to use quite as much oil. So hopefully that makes it a little easier. And the thing you want to do before you heat up I'm gonna go ahead and heat it up, like maybe, you want it to get hot. I'm kind of at a medium high. It takes a little while for the oil to heat up. And you don't want to put it in before it heats up because you'll just get oil soaked tofu. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But you got to figure out what you're going to use to like turn the tofu. So I have chopsticks. And like if you want to join the cool kids club, you use, I have cooking chopsticks. You see the difference in the length?
Okay.
So these are the chopsticks you would eat with, like in a restaurant or at home. And then my cooking chopsticks are longer, so I have a little more distance between me and the oil. But if you don't have chopsticks at home, I was thinking about this. Maybe something like this. Or something like this. You
Looks
just
like
want some distance between you and the oil and the ability to kind of turn it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Are we going to flip them on like a pancake, like flip them over, or just?
No, you're gonna not like a pancake. You're gonna pick them up and flip it. Yeah, you're gonna flip it, but not
Not with like a spatula.
Yeah, you don't get under it. Yeah. And I'm just trying to figure out if it's hot enough. I'm just putting my hand above it. Maybe I'll turn it up a little bit. Does everybody have their cooking thing?
We're getting some thumbs up. Is everyone ready?
Yeah.
Yep, it looks like we're good.
Okay. I think my oil probably needs a little bit more time to heat up. I want to make sure you wash your tomatoes right here. Make sure you wash your tomatoes. That'll be the next step. And you wash your green onion, right? And let's see. If you don't, if you want to make this totally vegetarian, so this is fish sauce. This is my kind of what we use at home. But if you want to make it vegetarian and you have it, soy sauce would be a good substitute for fish sauce.
What is fish sauce?
Oh yeah, so basically it's anchovies, right? And they put in a lot of salt and water, and they basically wait. They put it in these. I saw them make it once in Vietnam. They put it in these big wooden vats, and they wait for it to like ferment. And the price of the fish sauce depends on which part you're getting. So Harrison, you were talking about the $40 fish sauce that's in the market. That's like the first water that comes from the fish sauce, right? So that's the most expensive kind. But if you ever buy it for yourself, like this is good enough for cooking. I don't know what it's called. My mom just calls it squid brand. It's like $2.99 at the Asian markets. But when you eat it in the restaurants, like the dipping sauce, you buy a better quality. And this is the kind we use. It's like 3 Crab brand. But okay, we don't need $40 fish sauce. Let me go ahead and start with the tofu. I think it should be hot enough. Can y'all see the pan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, it's gonna splatter Splatter is good.
How often do you normally make this?
What's that?
How often do you normally make this dish?
It's good for it's good for a vegetarian dishes. We eat it probably a couple times a month. It's good for us. We're Catholic, so it's good during Lent because it doesn't have meat. All right. Everybody got their tofu in the oil? Okay. It's going to splatter a lot. Remember to get your dish ready, right? So you can put it in when it's just paper towels on a plate. And you probably have more tofu that you're cooking than I'm going to do it, but it cooks pretty quickly. If you kind of pick it up, it's already a little bit brown, but I like mine really brown. So
How's everyone doing? Thumbs
this,
up. Is everyone doing good?
yeah, this one takes
Okay.
a little while, right? This is what my tofu looks like right now, but that's not quite brown enough.
My tofu tends to fall apart. Is that normal?
Your what?
My tofu is like falling apart, kind of like when I was
Ah,
cooking. Is that normal?
did you buy the extra firm kind?
I thought, I don't know.
Yeah, so there's different types of tofu. There's some that crumble. I guess people eat it in a crumbled way, but we like the extra firm, and it should be staying pretty much together. So, oh, that's cool. Almost. Fun to see your different kitchens. Okay, I'm probably ready to turn. So the tofu that's in the center is probably going to cook faster because that's just where the heat is. So y'all see that? Can y'all see that color? Okay, I'm going to turn it on the other side. And we're going to get some more splashing. Like for me, this is the perfect brown. I like it crispy.
When you flip it,
Long chopsticks come in handy.
when you flip it, are you
Don't
flipping it
splatter.
like 180 degrees, or are you just doing 90 degrees at a time?
What's that?
When you flip it, do you do like 180 degrees completely over, or
Yeah.
do you do 90 degrees at a time?
Yeah, mine is kind of, I want to get the most surface, so it's a rectangle. So I want to get the two big surfaces done. But eventually I'll flip it to the other side too. So I cut it, you may not have cut it like this, but I cut it like a rectangle, right? So So I'm just basically cooking the two sides, and I have enough oil that I don't think actually I will have to flip it on the side. So tofu is pretty healthy, but I feel like when I fry it, it's indulgent, so.
How many people were cooking? How many of you had tofu before? Quite a few. Okay.
Yeah, great. Sometimes if you go to like the Vietnamese markets, sometimes they'll have stores that make the tofu fresh. So they're not necessarily in all this water, but that's like the best. And they make all sorts of, they make soy milk, they make tofu, they make all sorts of things from the tofu. A lot of Vietnamese people are vegetarian, Buddhists, and they don't eat meat, or they won't eat meat during certain parts of certain times of the year. So tofu is great for that. How's the frying going? Okay, okay. I'm so happy to see some people I haven't seen in a while. Okay, my tofu is about done, so I'm just going to turn it off. But we can wait for y'all to catch up.
How's everyone else doing? Are your tofu done? Is your tofu done? Thumbs up.
I think tofu might be singular. I'm not sure.
Tofu, yeah. It looks like some people are still working on it.
Okay, yeah, no worries. And in my family, we never throw away anything. So I'll wait for the oil to cool. And then we put it in like a bottle, and we can use it to fry things that aren't quite so delicate. We use almost everything. Okay. I'll let y'all catch up, and I'm just gonna review the sauce part. Okay, I'm going to go back to cutting. So I'm going to move this back to here, where you can see. Can you see my? Can you see the cutting board?
Yes, yeah, we can see it.
Okay, great. So I'm going to start cutting because this will take a little while, but I can certainly catch anybody up who wants to, who needs it. I was talking with my mother-in-law who lives with us and cooks very well. And she insists, she looked at my recipe and said, you have to cut some very small, like dice it almost. And she said, that gives you the sauce that you need. So I'm going off recipe a little bit. I don't know if y'all can see. I'm just taking the tomato and I'm kind of basically dicing one of them. Because she said you need that to get the saucy part of it. So far, so good? Okay, so I'll go ahead and dice this tomato. And I'm just cutting it like this. And I'm dicing it. All right, so I've got a little bit of diced tomato here. And then I'll do the rest of the tomatoes like the recipe said. How's the
How
frying?
did the
That's probably the hardest part. Did that go okay?
Yeah, how did the recipe say to cut the tomatoes other than dicing the one?
I'm sorry, Ryan, is that you?
Yeah. How do we dice? I mean, how do we cut the tomatoes other than dicing the one?
Okay, yeah, so now I'll do the regular tomato cutting like the recipe. So I don't know what kind of tomatoes you have. I got Roma, but I'm basically just cutting it in half. And I don't know why. I don't like the little stem part. And I cut that. But basically, Ryan, you just cut it in chunks. You want it probably like a Roma tomato. You probably cut it in like 8 pieces. So I cut it in half. I cut it in half again. And then I cut it in half again. It really doesn't matter. You just kind of want it about this size. Right here. Maybe about kind of, depending on how big your thumb is. Yeah. Just so that it gets saucy, like when we stir fry it. Okay. So I moved on to the second tomato. And again, it doesn't really matter. You just want it to be about the right size.
And we're gonna cut all 5 or the last 4 tomatoes like this.
Yeah, yeah. I think I have fewer tomatoes just because.
Am I guilty of causing grave bodily injury to these tomatoes?
Yes, but the object, right? Murder has to be defined as a human life.
Okay.
So I think you're good. Okay, so my tomatoes at this point are kind of chopped up like this.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just remind myself what the next step is.
How's everyone doing? Feeling good? Good spot? Okay.
Okay, so so now what we're going to do, and feel free to continue cutting tomatoes. I'll just talk you through it. Basically, we're just going to turn on. I would get another pan because the oil thing is tricky. So I'm just using another frying pan. Oop, you'll see. Okay. And we don't need oil for this part. We're just going to basically saute tomatoes with water. I'm going to go off recipe again. My mother-in-law says you need onions. You don't have onions right now, but that's fine. But if you ever want to make this on your own and you like a little more flavor, onions are good. It's basically just sauteing the tomatoes with water, a little bit of fish sauce we can talk about, and sugar and salt. And then you kind of let the heat make the tomatoes kind of saucy, and then we'll put the tofu back in. So one step at a time. Okay, so I'm turning on the heat. And the tomatoes have a lot of water in them already. Let's see. Okay, I don't know. Let me move this. You see the pan?
Yep. Yep, it looks great. Oh,
I think this one will work. Oh, no, that was, you can look at my ceiling. I can't tell. Can you see the pan? Maybe a little closer?
yes, just a little closer, and we're getting the cabinet a little bit.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So I just kind of see how hot it is. I'm just putting in the onion.
So this
There's
is
no oil needed at this point. It's not a saute, it's more like a sauce. But if you don't have onions, that's fine. That wasn't part of the recipe.
so this is a green onion. This is a just a normal kind of onion.
Just whatever white onion you have. And now I'm putting in the tomatoes. Okay. I'm putting in the water now. It's half a cup, but you might need more. My mother-in-law says that chicken broth works better than water, but we'll stick with water. Okay, I might turn up the heat a little bit. And basically, it's 1 portion of salt, 2 portions of sugar. So in this case, we'll start off with a teaspoon of salt. I'm just gonna stick it in there. It doesn't have to go in any particular order. Can y'all see that? And 2 teaspoons of sugar.
Oh yeah.
Let me just taste, make sure I didn't confuse the two. Okay. How's everyone doing? Okay, I'm just gonna let this. I need to add, I think it's a tablespoon, right, of the, let's find it, my tomato paste. Oh, here it is. So this is interesting because Vietnamese cooking doesn't have tomato paste, but this just basically thickens the sauce, right? Like it does in Italian cooking. I suspect we'll need more water. the recipe seems a little, so what I've done so far is I've added the chopped up tomatoes. I had a little bit of onion. I added sugar, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and a half a cup of water. Now I'm looking at this thinking, I think I could use some more water. Oh, also a tablespoon of tomato paste. So I'm gonna add a little more water. Y'all see that? And this is where I'm gonna add the fish sauce.
How much?
I think it said, is it half a teaspoon? I never measure my fish sauce, so I don't know. But let's try it. Let's try what the recipe says.
Half a teaspoon, I
Right.
believe.
So fish sauce, a little bit goes a long way.
And if people don't want to use fish sauce, they can use soy sauce, right?
Yep, yep. If you want to keep it completely like vegan, soy sauce would be a good alternative. All right, so this is pretty much it. Hopefully yours looks something like this. I'm going to turn down the heat on mine while I wait for y'all. How's everybody doing? Does it look
Thumbs up.
like this?
We got a out there. We got some thumbs up.
Okay, well, I'll wait. Does anybody have any questions? Because all I'm going to do now, it's basically done. I'm just going to add the tofu back in. And I might turn on the heat again, just so that the tofu soaks up some of the tomato.
Were we supposed to do anything with green onions?
Yep, at the end.
Okay, shit.
Yeah, if you're done or you're pretty much done, you can slice the scallions. I'm going to turn the heat down really low and just kind of let it simmer. And you can taste it. You know, if you don't know what it's supposed to taste like, it's a little hard to gauge, but I might add a little more water and a little more sugar.
How's everyone doing?
I'm adding like a 1/4 cup of water, but just eyeballing it. And it was a little salty for me, so I'm going to add a little bit of sugar. So this dish, like a lot of, I think, Asian dishes, it's supposed to be served over rice. And, you know, in Vietnam, where folks are considerably poorer, they tend to make the food salty so that a little bit goes a long way. My taste isn't quite that salty, but this is kind of basically what you should be kind of seeing. Anybody have questions or? So I put my tofu back in. I put it on really low heat so that it can kind of soak up the sauce. And now I'm gonna cut my scallion. Y'all see that? Y'all know how to cut a scallion. So, but here's something, maybe the only good thing to come out of the pandemic. Y'all may have seen this, but I always save my scallions. I just cut the white part like this. I don't know if y'all have seen this, but you can basically get another, you just put it in and it'll grow again. Have y'all ever done this? You just basically take a little glass jar and you cut the scallions, right? You want to keep the little root part and the white part. And because most people just eat the green part. And I put it in here. This is like a little yogurt thing. I put it in my windowsill and it grows again. So we usually can get like one full thing of scallions from whatever we buy. Okay, so I'm cutting the scallions now. And usually the ends are a little jagged, so I throw those or I compost those. And I'm cutting it really, y'all can't see, sorry. I'm cutting it really thin because it's just a garnish. So this is what it looks like, yeah? Hi, Professor Burns. Okay, so my scallions are cut. And I don't know if you have any rice cooked. We always have rice cooked in my house, so let's see. So here's my rice, and I'm just going to put it on top. And I'm turning off the heat now. I just sprinkle the scallions on top. And voila. Can y'all see that?
Yep.
Okay.
How's everyone else doing? Does everyone else have it all ready?
Just finishing up my rice over here.
Can I, oh, that looks good, Lauren. Yeah. And if you don't have rice, I mean, you can basically eat it over any kind of carbs, right? So, or you could do it without carbs, but. Does anybody have any questions?
Once you have it ready, if you want, you can turn on your camera and show your food, either with you in it or just the food. And I'm going to take a group picture.
Oh, Madeline, looks good. Let's see who else. Yeah, that's definitely. And if you like it spicier, you can add Tabasco or whatever. But this is my food.
It looks good. So once everyone's got plates, you can start holding them up. Or if you just want to smile on camera, that's also acceptable.
Does anybody have any questions? I'm happy to, if you got stuck on a step, I'm happy. Oh, that looks good, Ryan.
Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, Calvin, that looks fancy. That's like well plated.
Okay. Ready for a photo?
Yeah.
Almost. We've got some people moving around. Okay. We got, okay. Everyone ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I think there's just one more person. We're good to go. So
All right.
smile.
Oh.
Okay, smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, got it. Awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us today. And I wanted to just let this one say hi. This is one of our former foster puppies. He just woke up. So Okay, well, I hope y'all had fun. Let me know if you have questions, and at least I'll be seeing some of you in class tomorrow. Take care.
Thank you everyone for coming. This was great. Thank you, Professor Pham. This is wonderful. We'll hang around a little bit longer if people have questions or anything, but if not, I hope you have a good night.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Take
You're
care.
done.
I have a question for you, Professor Pham.
Yeah.
So I'm a vegetarian, so I cook with tofu pretty often.
Yeah.
I always find it like I can never get it in the pan. So do you have any tips and tricks on that?
I'm sorry, Haley, you kind of cut off. What did you say?
I was just wondering if you had any tips to keep tofu from sticking to the pan, like when you're frying it or baking it or whatnot.
Yeah. I think you can be if it's the firm, you can be pretty rough with it. So in this case, we have a nice half-inch layer of foil, so that wouldn't really, affect things. I tried to air fry this to see if it worked, but it wasn't quite the same consistency. But I think you don't have to be so tender with tofu because it's, especially you buy the extra firm kind. So, yeah, those would be my thoughts.
It's delicious, Professor.
Oh, good, Ryan. I'm glad you, yeah, yours looks really good. So, okay. All right. Are we good, Allison and Harrison? Am I okay?
Yep, we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah.